Let's just jump right into this explainer. You know the drill, right? We order food, we track the little car icon on our phones, and we blindly trust the person walking up to our porch in the dead of night. But what if that trust is entirely misplaced? What if the simple act of getting a delivery is actually, an invitation for something deeply sinister? Today, we're unpacking Shadows at the Door, 3 late-night delivery terrors. Okay, let's dive into this. Usually, our expected delivery is all about a warm meal, absolute convenience, and just feeling safe in our own homes. But the dark reality we're looking at today shows a completely different side of things. We're talking shadowy agendas, deep isolation, and hidden threats sitting right on our doorsteps. The thing is, predators often use our everyday, mundane routines to hide right in plain sight. I want you to really let this sink in. Sometimes, the person waiting in the shadows has a much darker agenda. It perfectly sets the stage for our anthology today. We've got 3 true escalating horror stories, all told from the perspective of late deliveries. So let's move right into our first account. Story 1, Terror in the Trees. Picture this. It's a freezing Tuesday night in rural Quebec, right around 1 a.m., which, by the way, this 21-year-old delivery driver specifically points out as the time when the weirdos start coming out. He gets dispatched to deliver a pizza to a GPS pin that, when he actually arrives, simply shouldn't exist. There's no house, nothing. Just a dark, completely unlit dirt trail leading directly into a dense, freezing forest. Obviously, he tries calling the customer, straight to voicemail, which is totally on brand for a sketchy situation. Then his phone lights up with a text. "I'm in the back, just walk down the path." Now, his instincts are absolutely screaming at him, but he figures, hey, I'll just walk a few feet in to see if there's a hidden cabin tucked away. So he steps into the dark tree line. And this brilliantly illustrates how fast things can go south because the environmental red flags just stack up rapidly. First, he immediately spots fresh boot prints in the snow. They're way larger than his own, and inexplicably, they're just circling a nearby tree. Then hits the auditory red flag, this gross, wet, slurping noise coming from the darkness. He flicks on his flashlight, and standing literally a meter away is a motionless man in a white camo jacket and charcoal snow pants, hands deep in his pockets, just muttering incoherently. Unsurprisingly, the driver doesn't stick around to figure out what the guy is muttering. He sprints back to his car, locks the doors, and peels out of those woods. He actually thinks he's escaped. He drives all the way back to his own house, locks his front door, and then his phone buzzes with this horrifying message: "I like that your house is lit only by your bedroom TV." He had been followed to his absolute most vulnerable place, and to this day, he flat out refuses to drive past that forest. Which brings us to story 2, this second floor trap. This one follows a college student paying his way through school with late night deliveries. He pulls up to an old mother-daughter house that had been converted into separate apartments. The customer is a woman who claims she has lasting injuries and asks if he can bring the food all the way up to the second floor because it's super hard for her to walk. He agrees to help her out, right? But the second he steps inside the foyer, he's hit with this horrific smell. He described it as smelling like something had actually literally died in the walls. And to make matters worse, the stairs leading up are incredibly old and creak loudly under his feet. So much for a quiet approach. He finally reaches the top, and the apartment is just pitch black with the doors slightly ajar. He peers inside and calls out into the darkness, "Hello?" And from the very back of this pitch black hallway, an eerie whisper replies, "Just leave it on the table." It's incredibly bizarre, but he follows the instruction and slowly sets the food down. But right as he turns to leave, his flashlight beam catches something super unsettling tucked in the corner of the living room. I want you to pause for a second and ask yourself, who was waiting in the dark? Just imagine the absolute terror of standing in a pitch-black stranger's apartment, smelling death, hearing whispers, and suddenly realizing you are completely exposed and very much not alone in that room. Because what the flashlight reveals is terrifyingly specific. There's a recliner, a thick blanket draped over it, and a heavy boot protruding from the bottom. Suddenly, the blanket shifts. He realizes there is a person hiding directly under it, breathing heavily. The driver doesn't even say a word. He just backs away slowly, turns, and bolts down those creaky stairs as fast as humanly possible, practically tripping over himself in panic. So the crucial point is what happened after he called the police from the safety of his locked car. When law enforcement cleared that building, the apartment was completely empty. It had supposedly been vacant for months. There was no female customer at all. And worst of all, sitting right on the table, Exactly where he had just placed the food was a large hunting knife. It was a literal, life-threatening trap deliberately designed to lure him inside. Let's flip the script for story 3, the reverse thief. Instead of following a victim, we're shifting over to the bad guy's perspective. It's a pretty fascinating, albeit deeply disturbing look into the methodical mind of someone who was intentionally out to cause terror. So what is reverse thieving? Basically, it's the act of breaking into homes not to steal valuables, but to leave unsettling gifts behind. The entire goal is just to mess with people's heads and mentally torment the occupants. The predator in this account admitted he spent an entire year doing exactly this. For his next target, he decided to zero in on a delivery driver who frequently stopped at a local gas station. This guy's methodology is completely calculated. Step 1, follow the driver in secret to his last drop-off. Step 2, wait in the shadows while the driver is occupied walking up to a porch. Step 3, slip into the driver's unlocked car and leave a dead bird and a handwritten note right on the passenger seat. The bad guy then just retreated to the tree line, literally laughing to himself as he watched his victim return to the car and go into a visible, total panic.
And what did that note actually say? Just 4 words next to that dead bird? We're coming for you. I mean, that is pure psychological torment. It's designed to make the driver feel completely surrounded, stalked, and utterly unsafe in his own vehicle.
But here's where we get a massive twist. What happens when the predator actually becomes the prey? What goes through the stalker's mind when he's arrogantly laughing in the tree line and suddenly realizes that someone else is lurking in the shadows, watching him? As the bad guy is walking back to his own vehicle, he glances across the street. He sees this older couple just standing there, staring directly at him. But the genuinely terrifying detail is what the woman is holding. She is slowly waving a small yellow flower. The bad guy totally freezes. Why? Because that is the exact same type of yellow flower he had maliciously planted inside a stranger's kitchen just days before. Universal karma had literally caught up to him. He was so incredibly freaked out by this that he quit his sick game entirely and moved right back in with his parents. Okay, bringing this all together, these campfire-style true stories all point to one absolute necessity: trusting your creep meter. When you're out in the world, especially if you're working at night, your instincts are absolutely your very best defense mechanism. Now, what's really interesting about this slide is understanding what this is. Think of the creep meter as that instinctual, visceral gut feeling that screams at you when a situation is deeply dangerous or wrong. In every single story we cover today, the victim's creep meter was redlining long before the actual physical danger revealed itself. The unlit trail in the rural woods, that horrific smell in the foyer, the eerie silence of a dark apartment, these are your body's natural alarm systems. So, let's wrap this up with some practical takeaways. Number 1, always trust your gut feeling. Seriously, if it feels off, it almost certainly is. Number 2, don't ignore those environmental red flags. If a house shouldn't be there, or if a situation smells wrong, literally or figuratively, just back away. And number 3, remember that the scariest threats aren't paranormal ghosts. Human predators often hide right in plain sight, using the mundane cover of something as simple as a food delivery to lure you into their traps. I'm going to leave you with this final provocative thought to chew on tonight. Who is really on the other side of your porch light? The next time you order late-night food, or the next time you blindly open your front door into the pitch dark, just remember the hidden terrors we explore today. Stay safe, always trust your instincts, and hey, thank you for joining me for This Explainer.